you go through the last 5 or 6 years of who PSG have signed, and it's really interesting. I actually have open in front of me the clubs that they signed the most players from in the last 5 years. At the top of the list is Benfica, then it's Inter Milan, Sporting, Porto, and then Barcelona, funnily enough. You then go to Bayern Munich's list on that, and it is Tottenham, Ajax, and RB Leipzig. Right underneath that, by the way, Man City, Juventus, PSG. Bayern aren't exactly being imaginative with the signings that they make here. And I think there's a reason for that. Unlike PSG, who I just mentioned, can just swoop in, buy the best player at Stade Rome, best player at Lyon, best player at Marseille, whoever else, because these clubs don't have any money. Bayern Munich can't do that in the Bundesliga, because more often than not, the clubs are financially stable enough to hold off and wait for the very best offer, which usually comes from the Premier League. Florian Wirtz, the perfect example of this, but as we've been talking about all summer, it can be Wirtz, it can be Haaland, it can be Bellingham, it can be Xavi Simons maybe this summer if we want. Number of RB Leipzig players in the past as well. All the way back to like Kai Havertz, for example. The days that Bayern Munich could just kind of do what PSG do now in France are long gone. And we've talked a lot about how Bayern have really struggled to, I think, acclimatise to that new world. Because the ground is moving beneath their feet, but also because at the same time, they've moved over from this hierarchy that were in charge of the club for like 20 or 30 years and made them the club that they are, your Hoeneß's, your Rummenigge's, etc. They moved on to a new group who they then proceeded to sack 2 or 3 years later. And now we've got another group in Max Ebel, Christoph Freund, etc. And they're now trying to kind of, do things as they're basically trying to learn the job on the run at full sprint because they know they don't have a moment's peace. And we haven't really seen Bayern Munich come up with a kind of strategy like PSG. You can look at that PSG team and be like, it's very clear what their transfer strategy is. They buy the best players in France, and they've got like 70 scouts in Portugal. Well, maybe not even that many. Maybe they just have 3 scouts who go to Sporting, Porto and Benfica games every week and say, yeah, sign that guy. And it works, and it does really well for them. But that's a very clear strategy that's working for them. And now that they've moved on from Mbappé, Neymar and Messi, they've got a squad full of exciting young players. And then you look at Bayern Munich, and if someone was to honestly ask me what's Bayern Munich's transfer strategy, man, I don't know what their transfer strategy is. So if there's anything that they can maybe learn from PSG winning this Champions League, maybe it's that. Maybe they have to go out and maybe they just have to spend more time in Portugal.